I always wait for you to do the thing.
Oh. What's going on, everybody? It is Hunter here. We are back. BoogiePod episode 42, 8 away from 50. 58 away from 100. Had to do some math there. Had to think about it. It's okay. All right. We are back. I haven't posted any since the last BoogiePod on the sports channel. So we're going from BoogiePod to BoogiePod. It's been a while since we went from BoogiePod to BoogiePod. Hopefully I'll pick it back up and do better this week. But we got a lot of things to talk about this week. We got our Big 12 predictions. We have our Pac-12 predictions. We are doubled up on predictions. And while we're at it, we're going to triple up and go our playoff predictions for college football, since this is the last weekend without college football, and it wouldn't be fair to do predictions next week after football's already been played, even though it's a bunch of nobody team playing. So then we'll also go into our NFL, which is going to be our AFC South predictions and AFC West predictions. We're going to wrap up the AFC, and then we're going to go into our NFCs next week. And then a huge UFC card this past weekend, and Edwards versus Usman was nuts. Huge knockout, and we're going to talk about that later on. Hopefully it won't be that long, depending on how long we take in predictions, as we've cut out a lot of different elements that we usually talk about just to be able to do the predictions, and next week will be a lot of NFL, and then we'll settle right back down to like our normal routine type deal. So, as we always do it, Jake, how was your week?
Pretty good.
That's
definitely
good.
One of the biggest UFC moments in a long time, so a lot to talk about.
It's been a long time since we've had an upset like that, which we'll get there. But let's go.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. Like,
Shocking.
Yeah. All right, let's go into our Big 12 predictions. I'm going to start at the bottom at 10 all the way up to 1. And 10, I have Kansas, which is 2-10, 0-9. At 9, I have Texas Tech, 4-8, 2-7. At 8, I have Kansas State, 5-7, 2-7. 7, I have West Virginia, 5-7, 3-6. 6, I have TCU, 7-5, 4-5. 5, I have Baylor, 8-4, 5-4. 4, I have Iowa State, 7-5, 5-4. 3, I have Oklahoma State, 10-2, 7-2. 2, I have Oklahoma, 11-1, 8-1. And then 1, I have Texas, 11-1, 9-0. Drink the Kool-Aid. Drink it up. I'm drinking it. Go ahead, Jake. What's your Big 12 predictions?
Okay. I think mine are a little bit different. So at 10, I have Kansas. At 2-10 and 0-9 in conference. At 9, I have West Virginia, 3-9 and 2-7 in conference. At 8, I have Kansas State, 5-7, 2-7. 7, TCU is 5-7 and 2-7. 6 is Texas Tech at 7-5 and 5-4. 5 is Iowa State at 7-5 and 5-4. 4, I have Oklahoma at 10-2 and 7-2. I think the top 4 in the Big 12 are all going to be very solid this year, but there's a chance they could beat each other up more than I have, but we'll see. So 3, I have Texas at 9-3 and 7-2. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I think they're going to be good, but not that good.
Yeah.
Because I think the whole drama with Quinn Ewers not even like deserving the starting spot is a big deal. I think that's a big deal. It's not good.
I agree.
But you have to still give it to him because politics, that's how it works. You pay him all that money, he has to start.
Yeah.
So, and then 2, I have Baylor at 10-2 and 7-2. Then I have Oklahoma State at 1, going 11-1 and 8-1. So I could be a little too high on Oklahoma State. They could prove me wrong, but that's what I got.
Okay, I have Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, and I'm going to go with the Longhorns. Hook them. Look at that. Look at that. Horns up, baby. Horns up. Hook them up. And then you have Oklahoma State and who in your Big 12?
Baylor.
Baylor. That's a rematch from last year, right?
Yeah, and I have Oklahoma State.
Okay, all right. So you're going to have Oklahoma State finishing 12-1?
Yeah.
Okay, good year for Oklahoma. I got them 10-2, so I mean we're not far off there. I just got them losing one more, which throws them off the Pac-12 or the Big 12 championship. So let's move on to our Pac-12 predictions. We'll start with the North. I'll start at number 6. I have Washington State at 3-9, 1-8. At 5, I have Stanford at 3-9, 2-7. At 4, I have California 4-8, 2-7. 3, I have Oregon State 4-8, 3-6. 2, I have Washington 8-4, 6-3. And then at 1, I have the Oregon Ducks at 11-1 and 9-0 going to the Pac-12 championship. What are your North predictions?
North's pretty weak this year. I have at 6 is Oregon State at 6-6 and 3-6 in conference. 5 is Stanford 5-7, 3-6. 4 is Washington State at 6-6 and 4-5, and then Washington 7-5 and 5-4. And 2, I have California going 8-4 and 6-3. I would not be shocked if they are way worse than that.
Yeah.
But that's what I got. So 1, I have Oregon at 10-2 and 8-1 in conference.
Okay, so Oregon advances out of your North to the Pac-12 championship, just like mine. And I want to also throw out a little hot take there while we're at it. Bo Nix will be in New York. He won't win it, but he'll be there. That's a hot take, but I think Auburn was just a disaster at the time, and I think playing lesser competition will help Mr. Bo Nix. So that's a hot take, but there you go. All right, so let's go on to the South, which is a lot more competitive. Should be, at least at the top. Colorado, I have 1-11, 1-8, awful. Arizona, I have 3-9, 2-7, though. Actually, that's like an up year for them, so good for them. Arizona State, 8-4, 6-3. USC, I have 9-3, 7-2. UCLA, I have 10-2, 7-2. And then Utah, I also have 10-2, but 8-1 in conference. So Utah and Oregon will be in my Pac-12 championship. Go ahead.
Okay. At 6, I have Arizona at 1-11 and 0-9, so disaster.
Yeah.
I thought you froze up for a second on my screen. I was like, what in the world? Okay. 5, I have Colorado going 2-10 and 1-8. Arizona State is next at 4 at 4-8 and 2-7. At 3, I have UCLA putting up an okay year at 8-4, but 5-4 in conference play. They struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
And at 2, I have USC going 10-2, 8-1, like huge improvement. Like they're set for the future. Lincoln Riley does a pretty good job, but it's going to take another good recruiting class to get them above Utah at number 1, who I am drinking the Kool-Aid on. Talk about Texas going 11-1. I got Utah going 12-0.
Yeah. And
then going 9-0 in conference, obviously. So I'm all in on Utah. I like what I saw last year. Might be their year. Who knows?
All right. And then here comes the big money predictions, baby. Well, wait. We're at Pac-12 championship. I have Oregon and Utah. You also have Oregon and Utah. I'm going to go because I know who you're going. If you have Utah going 12-0, you got to have them going 13-0, I'm assuming, right? So you got Utah win your Pac-12 champ. All right. I'm 50-50 on this game, so if you're going to take Utah, I'll take Oregon. If I think Bo Nix is going to be at the Heisman talks, then he's going to have to win the Pac-12. Yeah, so I'll go Oregon Pac-12 championship champion. You got Utah. So let's go into the big money now. College football playoff predictions. This is what we've all been waiting for. This is what it leads up to. Don't matter how we get here. It don't matter if we get the conferences right. It's all about getting these 4 teams right. All right? It's all about getting these 4 teams right. That's all that matters. That's in my opinion, hot take here. The only positive thing about keeping the teams at 4 teams in the playoff is they're easier to predict. So,
yeah,
let's get into it. At number how you want to start? You want to go 4? We'll do it how they do it on the show. We'll start at 1. 1-4.
Yeah, start at 1.
Yeah. All right, for number 1, the overall seed is going to be 13-0, Alabama, Crimson Tide, your SEC champions. Who's your number 1 seed?
Also Alabama, because I can't just get past all the talk. If they're saying this Alabama team's going to be one for the ages, you got to go with them at number 1.
I agree. Number 2 seed for me is I have the 13-0 Big 10 champions, the Ohio State Buccaneers.
The Buckeyes.
Buckeyes. Go ahead.
I also have Ohio State. I think they're primed for another run at the national championship, but yeah, I have them at 2.
All right. That's probably, there's like those 2 teams, and then there was like a little gap. Because a little gap. Because they're going to be like the most talented for sure. I think there's 2 other teams in the country that have the talent to compete with them, but there's more question marks on the other 2 teams, and the 2 teams I'm talking about are Clemson and Georgia. Don't know if the other people are putting in that category. But my number 3 seed is 13-0 ACC champions, the Clemson Tigers. Go ahead.
Okay, my 3 seed is the 13-0 Utah. Are they the Utes?
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? The Utes. Yeah. I got them. Utah, a big step up. This is probably obviously their first ever CFP nomination, but I don't know if they've ever been anything BCS wise. But yeah, Utah's breaking through.
Good for playoffs. I would love to see that. It'd be good for Utah and good for college football. Yeah. All right, so the 2 and 3 games are set up for me and you. I have a classic rivalry in the playoffs between Ohio State and Clemson, and you got the brand new fresh bait Utes, and you got them going against Ohio State, which is a rematch from the Rose Bowl, right? You had Ohio State?
Yep. Rematch. Yeah.
So, all right. So our Forest teams, though, this is where it's going to get interesting. I had to think about this. But I'm going to go with, if you've stuck through the BoogiePods, you know who the 3 teams. This was between Georgia, with 1 loss, losing to the SEC Championship in Alabama. It's either Texas, who is 12-1 and Big 12 champions, or the other option was I went with Oregon, who had 1 loss and been the Pac-12 champions. And out of those 3 teams, I went with the Texas Longhorns, baby. Hook 'em, horns, they're back. And I'll tell you why it was easy to make that prediction on those 4. I actually didn't have to think about it that much out of those 3 teams. It's because the one Oregon loss is to Georgia. So it goes that they can't pass up Georgia. They beat them head to head. So Oregon and Texas, one's a Power 5 champion, the other one's not. No matter how you look at it, the SEC more powerful, blah, 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 blah. Don't matter. Texas's name value will put them in no matter what, if they have that record. So Texas Longhorns will be 4, and they'll be facing Alabama, which will be a rematch from earlier in the year. Go ahead, Jake. Who's your 4 team?
My 4 is going to be surrounded in controversy. It's going to be the story of the year because I'm going to have the 12-1 Georgia Bulldogs getting in over Clemson, who will probably be 12-1, I would say. And then, who was my other team that I had, really good? Oklahoma State was going to be pretty good. Anyways, Georgia is going to lose the game to Alabama, okay?
All right.
But then you got Clemson. It's between Georgia and Clemson for me at the end of the day. Just simplify it. Clemson is going to be 12-1 as well, and they're going to win the ACC championship game. Like I had against Miami. It's going to be a big controversy. A lot of Clemson fans rightfully should think they should have got in. They won their championship game. But I have Georgia still getting in because maybe just Alabama's that good, and then maybe they even put up a fight.
Okay.
They will get put in over Clemson. It will be a controversy.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. There ain't no way they'd put Georgia in right there. No, I actually have a valid reason. No, they could, but I have a valid reason why they won't. Okay? Number 1 is Clemson will have more ranked wins at the end of their schedule. And then 2 is because the whole big thing, and this will be the biggest reason why I don't think they would do that, and it might be because I'm a Clemson fan, but it's the way I look at it, is because Alabama and Georgia would have just faced off at neutral ground. They would have just faced it just a week before.
That is true, yeah.
So I think they would have put Clemson in over. But it don't matter. You made your predictions. I've made mine. Let's move on. So for the 1-4 game, I have Alabama and Texas, and I have Alabama beating them again. But I think it'll be worse this time. I think Alabama at Texas will be an interesting game for 3 quarters. I think in the 4th, Alabama will end up beating them by maybe 14 points, 2 touchdowns. I think it'll end up being maybe a late touchdown. Alabama kind of seals it, makes it look a little worse than it really was. But I think in the playoffs, Alabama steamrolls them. I think Texas gets stomped, and I think we're looking at a 40-something to 17. Really bad, to put it that way. So I have Alabama advancing to the national championship again. So who's your 1-4 games, and who you got going?
It's Alabama, Georgia. I have Alabama winning it. I think my main reason is for them maybe putting Georgia in. I'm saying surrounded by controversies. My prediction is it's going to be a bad rap for Clemson this year. Not that they deserve it more.
Maybe Clemson looks how they did last year, but maybe the other teams are just not able to sneak up by them or something. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can see
Georgia
that.
Doesn't need a schedule as well, which kind of would hurt them in this scenario. But that's why I have them having such a good record because I think they're going to be pretty downgraded from last year, but they're still going to be obviously really good.
Yep.
But I'm going to have Alabama beating them pretty badly in this one seed versus 4 seed game. That's usually how it kind of goes.
Yep.
Alabama steamrolls. Yeah, I think the SEC championship game could be pretty competitive though, but I still think Alabama will steamroll them in the playoff game.
All right, so let's move on to our 2 and 3 seed games, which end up usually supposed to be the best game out of all of them, but unless you're Michigan. So I have Ohio State and Clemson, Great rivalry. Ohio State was able to get them last time by a lot. Beat them up pretty badly last time. I think this game's going to be really, really close, but I think the lack of quarterback play by Clemson will be the downfall, and Ohio State will move on, and it'll be a great game. It'll be a classic, but Ohio State beats them going into the national championship, Alabama and Ohio State. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have Ohio State versus Utah. I think it'll be another pretty competitive game, 3/4 way through, but I think CJ Stroud and all his wide receivers have so much depth that I don't think Utah could keep up for a full game. But I do think it'll be pretty competitive. A little bit more low scoring than last year's Rose Bowl, but a similar game. It's kind of a shootout, but I have Ohio State winning, kind of a thriller. But by the end, it looks less competitive than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I have Ohio State moving on.
Okay. So that leads us both to our national championships with this Alabama and Ohio State. We both have them as the same seeds. We both have them losing no games, I think, right? You don't have Ohio State losing any in the season. So this will be another one of those teams who will be fighting for 15-0. And I am going to take Alabama in a great game, but Alabama gets it done, and Bryce Young will be the first overall pick in the draft. And he wins the national championship for him. Go ahead.
I want to have Ohio State really bad, but I have to go with Alabama. I think Bryce Young finally gets his little ring.
Yep.
Because he came short last year. But Ohio State's going to be so good. I think it might be one of the better championship games we've had. There's been a lot of good ones, but this one might be the best because both these teams are insanely talented.
Yeah.
But I got Alabama.
Okay.
Getting another one.
All right, so just for fun, I didn't give you any heads up about this, but any Heisman predictions before we get started in college football this weekend? You want to throw a name out there?
I think C.J. Stroud's going to win it.
Yeah, I think C.J. Stroud too. I agree with you. He's too many weapons, not his stats to be out of the undeniably the dude there. So yeah, I think he'll be there. Any crazy names I threw out? Bo Nix, I think will be there. Any crazy names that you think will just be there? Won't win it, but will be there.
Be there? How many people do they take?
4.
There's more than that are in New York.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the ballot.
Yeah, there's a lot on the ballot.
I don't know. Obviously, I think Hendon Hooker could be like a name that's like watched for, but he won't be there because he won't. The team will be like 9-3 or 8-4, not good enough to be there. But I think Will Anderson will probably be there because I think he's debatably the best overall player. In the country. He's just not the quarterback.
Yeah,
but I think Will Anderson has a good chance to win it.
Okay. Yeah. Another name I'm gonna throw out there too that could be there that could be sneaky is if I got Clemson going 13-0, it could be whoever Clemson's quarterback is too. So just because of their stats, they could be there. So I'm throwing that out there. Wouldn't it be crazy we live in a world where DJ goes to New York this past year? Can't see that one happening. All right, let's move on. NFL, AFC South predictions. I'm going to let you start it because I started the college football one, so you go ahead. Go ahead and hit me with your AFC South predictions.
Okay, AFC South is going to have a bad year this year. This
100%.
division, it's going to be the classic. This division sucks, but the NFC East is still worse somehow, but that's not going to happen this year. That's what people will say. Anyways, the last place in the AFC South, I have the Texans at 3-14, 0-6 in division. And I think the 0-6 in division is kind of a hot take because usually they win at least one division game.
Yeah.
Every team wins at least one because they're all usually really competitive. I just don't see it yet. I think new head coach Lovie Smith is just not going to have it together yet. Texans are still far away from competing.
Yeah.
But then, third place, I have the Jaguars. I wanted to put them higher, but I have a really big growth year for them at 8-9.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
8-9. That's pretty optimistic for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Because a lot of question marks for depth. But I think the front seven, or like just the defensive line, has looked really good in the preseason for the Jaguars. And I think that could be their main engine on defense. I have them going 8-9, 4-2 in division. Pretty good against division opponents. I think the division's going to be pretty weak, so the top 3 teams all kind of beat each other up. At 2, I have the Colts at 9-8 and 4-2 in division. Solid year. I'm not as high on them as a lot of people are. A lot of people have them winning this division. I don't know. It's just weird. I just don't think they'll pull it off.
Yeah.
I'll have them miss the playoffs. And then the number 1 team in the AFC South, the Titans, at 10-7, so pretty weak. But I have them also going 4-2 in division. They're all beating up on the Texans. Moral of the story. But I think they have a pretty good winning culture there. They get in the playoffs. I think Tannehill does enough, and I think Derrick Henry's kind of getting slept on right now because he got hurt for the big first injury. But I have him making the playoffs as the 4 seed.
Okay. And my last team, I have the Texans at 1-16, but I think their one win is in division, 1-5 in division. Then I have the Jaguars at 5-12, 3-3 in division though. But the Jaguars, it might be because either they're my favorite team, or because this is just holds truth. They are the hardest team I've had to predict in college football and NFL so far. It might be just because I know too much about them, I guess. Maybe like my brain just has it a little scrambled in there for the Jaguars. But this team could be an 8-9 team, like you said. They could be even better than that. Or they could be even worse than what I have them at 5-12. They could be worse than that. It just depends on who stays healthy. How does some other things look? Question marks, is Dougie P really that dude? All those answers will be all those questions will be answered going into the season. At number 2, I have the Titans at 7-10, 4-2 in conference. I have them so low because quarterback play, Ron Tannehill, Dunzo, and I think Malik Willis will be the starter by the end of the year. And then number 1 for the AFC South, I have the Colts, not even 500. I have them 8-9, 4-2 in division. I think when these teams get out of division, they're going to struggle. And this is easily the worst division in all of NFL by far. So, that is my take on the AFC South. Go ahead with your AFC West.
Okay, the West is a loaded division.
We just flip.
Yeah, probably debatably they should be the best division, or at least top 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in last place in the West, I have the Raiders, disappointing a little bit, going 9-8 and going 2-4 in division. Everyone's freaking out about Devontae Adams, but I don't know. That team might have a big coaching problem this year. I think that's my prediction. But 3 spot, I have Broncos going 10-7 and 3-3 in division. Depends on who you ask if that's disappointing or not.
Yeah,
because Russell Wilson struggled pretty bad last year in Seattle, and he did get hurt a little bit. But when he was on the field, he wasn't great. Was not great. But I think the Broncos are set up for the future well, just not this year yet. 2 spot, I have the Chiefs going 11-6, 4-2. Patrick Mahomes carries them this year. He has like an Aaron Rodgers type year where wide receiver core, like old Aaron Rodgers for Devontae Adams, but wide receiver core is pretty meh. Defense is questionable, but they'll still pull it off because it's Patrick Mahomes. And then the 1 seed, I have the Chargers going 13-4. And going 3-3 in division. I have them getting beat up a little bit, but their record's 13-4. Doesn't matter. Very good team.
Okay, I have the Raiders at last at 9-7-1, and then I have them 1-4-1 in division. Like you said, kind of a disappointing year, but they're also playing in like a crazy hard division. So
yeah,
judge it how you like. At 3, I have the Chiefs at 11-5-1. 3-2-1. I think the tie is them 2 at the end of the year. And then 2, I have the Broncos at 12-5, 3-3 in division. And then at number 1, I also have the Chargers at 13-4, 4-2 in division. So I got also Chargers having a great year going to the playoffs. I would say 12-5 would probably get the Broncos in the playoffs too. Yeah. So yeah, the AFC West is just completely loaded. So let's move on. UFC, huge upset going into the 5th round. Everyone's bored. Everyone thinks it's another easy Usman win, and then bang, Leon sleeps him. Absolutely sleeps him. Our reaction was crazy. I wish I had it recorded so I could just rewatch our reaction over and over and over. But it was nuts, man. Wild. Great for Leon. Great for the UK. When they do this rematch, which we'll talk about later, I hope it's in the UK. Leon deserves that. And yeah, man, what was your thoughts on this fight?
Golly, I couldn't believe what I was watching. For one, it wasn't real when it happened. I mean, we were just sitting there all complaining about Leon kind of giving up a little bit. It's like the announcers were saying.
Yeah,
they were talking about how Usman's just that good, which he is that good. Yeah, obviously, he was number 1 pound for pound. But I don't know, man. Most shocking sports moment in recent memory. In a long time. I've never been more shocked.
No. In
Ever.
my lifetime,
Sport.
I have never watched something live shock me as much as that did.
Like, it shocked me so much as like
It was like
wasn't real.
Yeah, it broke the meter to where like I was like so
Yeah.
shocked that I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. If you didn't watch that live, you were missing out, man. I don't know what to tell you.
That's the craziest UFC moment I've ever seen. Not very close.
Yeah, and if you don't follow UFC and you don't understand how like big of a deal this is, just do a little research and you'll understand.
Very big deal. But yeah.
Just nuts, man. It's good for Leon. I'm assuming you agree that there should be a definitely rematch.
Oh yeah, there has to be.
Yeah, and you like the idea as UK as well?
I think it should be in UK if they let it, because Dana White was saying that he's like half serious, but he's also not serious because it would be hard to go there still.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have COVID restrictions still, but it would be they have to go through some hoops to get in the UK, I think. But
even if you can't get in the
UK, they could do that.
Well, okay. Hold on, I'm about to sound like big dummy. Okay, hold on. Anybody, if you're watching us from the UK, don't get mad. But I gotta ask a question: Is London's in England?
Yeah.
Is that the UK?
That's United Kingdom's a big group of them, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've done London cards. So if you can't get it in the big stadium, why don't you just go back to the London place you've been doing it at? So I like it. Yeah, that's fine too. I could see it now. Damn, Patty's opening up the card against a ranked opponent probably at that time. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just can't wait. Should be good, man. Should be good. I'm excited. But Jake, you got anything else you want to add? Short BoogiePod, but we thought, well, not really a short BoogiePod, in a different way. In time short, but we got a lot done because we're doing a lot of it's prediction time of the year. So, but anything else you want to
add? What are the odds that Usman's chin is cracked permanently?
50-50.
I think there's a good chance. He's getting older than everyone thinks. He's older. He's not supposed to be this strong anymore. Nope. He's like 35.
And Leon's only going to get better. He's only 30. He has plenty of time to grow.
Leon is hitting his prime learning moment, but also win at the same time is a big plus.
Yep.
It's one of those unbelievable things.
Yeah, it's just lucky man.
I always told you though, Usman will get starched when he loses.
Yeah,
I was right about that. I don't know if I ever said that on here, but
you definitely told me that.
I don't know. I didn't see it happen like that. I picked like a first round stunner.
Yeah,
he catches him early, but not with like it was actually a minute left. I thought it was like 2 minutes. There was a minute left
for Usman to win round 2, 3, and 4. And was winning 5. Leon got closer to finishing the fight more than he ever did in round 1 when he had his back.
Oh yeah,
I mean he was just an underhook away.
That's what they were saying, that Usman is only lacking like part in his game is he's not a submission threat.
No, his jiu-jitsu is very poor-ish.
He's just a wrestler.
Yeah,
he's a wrestler.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. I'd encourage everyone to go look it up, watch it. If you have ESPN Plus, look up the fight, buy it. I'd buy it late. Shoot, I'd buy it just to watch it.
The card was kind of mid. But,
but the fight.
But that fight, dude, it made every penny worth it.
Yeah.
And
the co-main event's great as well. But
when that happened, I was just starting to get comfortable. Oh, it's over. What a disappointing. Like Leon looked okay, but he just didn't have the stamina, man.
I was about to lock up the year in our game, man. Then Leon had other plans.
Blake, man.
Leon had other plans.
He did.
But
I doubt we ever take him like that again.
No.
Unless, like, I would say Pierre Izzy, but I expect Pierre to win, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's just a little different.
Yeah. Man, it's just nuts. It's just nuts. All right, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. Same time next week, Monday, we'll be doing BoogiePod episode 43. And there should be clips out later this week on the channel, like there wasn't last week, at least one. I am starting school, so time is going to start kind of getting the better of me. I'm going to have to start slowing down on the gaming channel and the sports channel. But I will do my best to get as much content out as possible.